Morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Polk County Board of Commissioners for Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. All commissioners are present. Announcements are on the agendas. Extra copies are on the table. First item up is for comments for items that are not on the agenda. Public comments. Okay. Seeing none, next item up is approval of the agenda.
Also move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, passed unanimously. Approval of the minutes from March 26th.
I move approval.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed unanimously. Next up is the Child Abuse Prevention Proclamation. Abby Warren, your time to shine.
No pressure. If I can get.
And I asked, just for the record, I asked the whole team if anybody could remember or knew historically how many years this board has been doing a proclamation. Nobody could come up with an exact answer, but we all feel pretty comfortable. It's been at least 25 years. So hooray for all of us. I wanted to make certain that we got that on the record. So I did that for your benefit as a lead-in. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for welcoming us this morning to be able to honor this really important month. We are so lucky to be able to work with a number of our partners that are here in the room with us today. Some that were on their way and unfortunately got stuck in a pretty gnarly accident. So they might be joining us in just a minute, but we're thankful to have Liberty House here and Casa of Polk County here, just as a couple of the examples of partnerships that we have throughout the community to ensure that families have what they need in order to prevent child abuse, and some of our partners to be able to educate us on warning signs of child abuse and neglect, to be able to act responsibly as community members and agency representatives across Polk County and in our surrounding areas. So we're grateful that you all welcome and honor this important month as well, because we know it's crucial to keeping our community safe and keeping our children safe. So thank you.
Okay. So now we have gobs of time. So I would like to invite representatives of the partners to come forward, talk to us about the significance of the proclamation, what it means for the entire county, but also what each of the partner groups do in regard to child abuse prevention.
Great, thank you. Max.
Okay,
Just give us your name and affiliation, please.
sure. My name is Max Goodfriend. I am the Prevention Education Project Coordinator with Liberty House, and I've been with Liberty House for a little over 2.5 years. And so part of my role is I go out into the community and educate adults how to recognize the signs of child abuse and how to react responsibly, because a lot of times we hear from parents that don't necessarily know that they have the confidence to be able to act if they see something. And so we kind of try to get rid of those stigmas and understand that they all have a role in protecting children, and we all have a role and a responsibility to act. And that's really one of the most important things that we do. We also have online safety trainings. Kids are getting on phones and devices a lot younger, and we're seeing that mental health issues and self-harm and suicidal ideation, things like that, that is really rising. And one of the things that we really want to do is not necessarily educate kids staying away from the phones, because we know that kids are going to get on phones eventually. But what we want to do is educate them on how to react and act responsibly when they are on those devices. It's usually a better way to go about it than trying to tell them to stay off social media, because not many are going to really listen to me if I say that. So that's something that we do. One of the other things that I'm very proud of is we are going into middle schools. We have a 6th grade supplemental health curriculum called My Worth, and that role I take very pride in. We have updated the curriculum, and we have already educated a little over 100 kids just this year alone within the first 3 months. And we talk about self-worth and resiliency and understanding that all of them matter. They all have 100% worth just by virtue of the fact that they're alive. We really want to make sure that kids understand that. But we also talk about some of the other things. We talk about social media and the effects that it has on their mental health. We talk about safe friends, safe adults, what they do, what they don't do. We want to make sure that they understand that 90% of youth who are abused by somebody that they know and trust. And we want to make sure that the youth understand that they need to know how to recognize the signs of a dangerous adult and how to go to their trusted adult. We also talk about sexting. Unfortunately, the reality is that a lot of youth today see that as a norm in their social circles. It's really hard for all of us in this room to understand that because we did not grow up with phones. We did not grow up with social media, but these kids are. And I think one of the problems that they're facing is they don't recognize that these actions have really significant consequences. And so what we want to do is really educate them on the risks associated with sending, sharing, and requesting. But the thing that I really take most pride in with that curriculum is I want to go in there and encourage them to share their experiences. Beforehand, it was a curriculum that was very much worksheet heavy. And being an educator for about 4.5 years, I realized that's not necessarily the best way to get youth to really share and learn from their own experiences. So now I have more interactive activities for them. So they get up out of their seats and they work with each other and they talk with each other. And the great things that I get to do is I ask a question of, has anybody ever had an experience of being cyberbullied? And one brave kid, after a second, will decide to raise their hand and share their story. And then 2 more will start to raise their hands because they realize they're not the only ones that have actually experienced this type of trauma. So that's something that we're really working on for the next year, is really trying to bring that into all schools, public, private, charter, in all Marion and Polk counties. And we also can do that for places outside of schools, like church groups, other youth serving organizations. So that's just some of the many things that we do, more specifically that I do at Liberty House.
Thank you. Well
Yeah.
done.
Well, there you go.
Speech.
All right.
Who else wants to be brave?
Wrote down my lines.
Well, I mean, I think you should share all the trainings that we have that are. You know off the top of your head.
I
that are
know
Free and
majority of them.
virtual in English and Spanish, so it's a huge.
I know the majority of them. So yeah, we have a whole, like the online safety trainings that I was talking about. We are doing all of our trainings this month, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, both in English and Spanish. All of the trainings and all of the resources that we have are available in both English and Spanish. And they're all completely 100% free, and you do it from the comfort of your own home. So that is something that we really want to encourage people, where if childcare is a problem or expenses are a problem, you can do it from your own home. So some of the trainings that we have, cell phones and children, best practices, that's a training where we actually encourage parents to bring their kids, because we have a very healthy conversation about how to have that healthy balance with phones. We know that adults and kids are going to be on their phones when they're at home, but how do we have that healthy balance when we're actually on these devices? We talk about what is that right age? Because people come up to us and say, what's the right age for my kid to have this phone? And well, you know, and to be quite honest, and I'll give you a little bit of a teaser, it depends. It really depends at why you want your child to have a phone. My first phone was when I was 10 years old. It was one of those old Nokia phones that had the walkie-talkie on the side and you couldn't text. But I got that phone because I was riding my bike to and from school, and the only person I could call was my dad or the police. So there are certain reasons why people get cell phones, and we want to be able to ask those questions. We talk about digital dangers and online safety. We talk about inappropriate content like pornography and hate speech and misinformation that's spreading all around social media. We want to talk about those things. We also talk about sexting and cyberbullying and privacy threats like geolocations or what else am I trying to think of? We have a training called Let's Talk. Let's Talk is really a training that is intended specifically for adults only, because we have conversations about how do you talk to a child about these very scary and troubling subjects. How do you talk to a child about consent? How do you talk to a child about trauma? How do you talk to a child about grief and loss and divorce? And that's something that we discuss in that training. We have a training called Bystanders. We all believe that everyone has a role in protecting youth, whether you have children at home or grandchildren, or you go to a church or a park or a grocery store, whatever it is, we have a role. And a lot of times what happens is people are kind of afraid of saying, I don't know if I have all the information to be able to report. Well, that's some of the things that we try to take away and try to educate people about in our trainings. We have a training called Reporting Concerns of Child Abuse. We used to call it mandatory reporter training, but the unfortunate part is that people thought Well, if I'm not a mandatory reporter, I don't have to attend that training. The rule is, and the way we look at it, like I've said before, we all have a role in protecting children. That is our job as adults. It is not the child's responsibility to protect themselves from child abuse. So we talk about what the actual physical signs of child abuse are. We talk about the mental signs of child abuse, because unfortunately, the reality is with sexual abuse, there's oftentimes not signs of physical abuse at that time. So we really want to talk about the specific signs, but also how to report and what happens after you make that report, because that's something that people typically don't know is, well, when I make the report, what is actually happening? What's the process afterwards? And so we do go through that. Is there any other training that I'm missing here?
Healthy touch.
Healthy touch. So,
Social media safety.
yeah, so we all know that, well, maybe not all of them, but I'm going to be a future dad, so I'll learn it. But we know that youth really do need that warmth and affection. I had to sneak that in. We know that youth need that warmth and affection. We know youth need touch. But how do we do it in a very healthy way? One of the things that we like to talk about is removing the stigma of go give grandma a hug, go give grandpa a kiss. We really want to implore parents to teach their children about consent of saying, no, I don't really feel like giving a hug today. And so 10 years down the road, when an adult, if they come and approach them to do something that is inappropriate, they've already been told, I can say no to an adult. I have power over my own body. I know my body is special and private. So that's one of the other trainings that we do like to discuss. And the last training that we have is social media safety. One of the great things that we do is we take feedback from the public. So one of the things that we've heard for the last couple of years from our trainings was, these are wonderful trainings. We want to hear more specifically about social media. So we made an hour-long training that really dives into why youth want to have social media, what social media really is, what are the pros, what are the cons of social media, how to have those conversations before your child gets on those platforms, and also just kind of talking about some of the main social media platforms that we really see problems with, like TikTok and Instagram and things like that. We do offer the Stewards of Children training, which is the 2.5 hour training that we talk about the 5 steps to learning about child abuse and how to react responsibly. We're doing that for private events, but that's a great training. We really highly implore all churches and other youth serving organizations and schools to get these trainings, because it's a really eye-opening experience to be able to have those conversations as a congregation or as a school administration or staff, to be able to recognize where are the safety hazards, where are the places that youth may be exposed to or may be put in uncomfortable one-on-one situations. So we do talk about that, but we also make sure that all of our trainings, we do it in a very safe and healthy environment where we make sure that your mental health is taken care of. We understand that child abuse is a really sensitive subject, and we understand that and we recognize that. But the unfortunate reality is it's not going away. And what we want to do is, if we don't talk about it, it won't get fixed. It won't get solved. So we really want to make sure that we do that in a very safe and healthy way. And that's why myself, Adrian Thomas back here, and everybody at Liberty House, we're trauma informed. That's our role and that's our job, is to make sure that we handle these trainings and handle the people that are coming into our trainings in the most caring way possible.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything further, Abby?
I just want to say that we're lucky to have Max presenting at all of our service integration meetings this month. So our community partners in Polk County know about all of the available trainings. There are several trainings happening this month in both English and Spanish for the community and for providers. So we're lucky to have a presentation at all of our regional meetings for the month of April, again, to really tie in to the theme of this month and the importance of this month. And we're also partnering with them with our Mid-Valley Parenting Program to bring these trainings on site in Polk County. And there are several connections to our local schools as well. So Liberty House really has a footprint here in Polk County providing that vital education.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Questions, commissioners?
No question, just excellent presentation. I'm so glad these resources are available. And as a father of an 8-year-old, I'm going to stay in touch. We need these trainings too. My wife and I and my child, and I just appreciate getting ahead of the conversations versus being reactive because, so it's horrifying.
Flyers, so if you are interested, we can hand those out afterwards.
Thanks.
That was a great presentation. And the number one thing I hope everybody realizes is these kids, they have no control. They didn't get to select the situation they're in. So it's devastating when you hear some of them stories or see some of that physical abuse. So thank you for all your efforts. And this month is very important to me.
And then finally, I would point here, notice that this is the first time I've seen lapel pins. And I'm envious and jealous.
I was
So
gonna say, we had an amazing community partner from CASA that brought several of these. I didn't come here today with this. I was gifted one, and I think there might be some on the table.
I have the right to pass them out.
that'd be awesome.
great.
I'm confident we'd all love to share.
Yes.
Like,
Of course.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to call you out. I'm sorry. Thank you.
We were excited too.
Thank you.
Perfect.
You all.
So commissioners, you've received a lovely gift. What is your pleasure?
I move forward with the proclamation for this Child Anti-Abuse Month.
Okay. Second,
absolutely.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And with that, I will read the proclamation. Thank you all. In the matter of proclaiming the month of April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, proclamation number 25-01, whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being one of our most vulnerable assets. Whereas research shows that safe and nurturing relationships and engaging and stable environments improve brain development and child well-being, while neglectful or abusive experiences and unstable or stressful environments increase the odds of poor childhood outcomes. And whereas the abuse and neglect of children can cause severe, costly, and lifelong problems affecting all of society, including physical and mental health problems, school failure, and criminal behavior. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of life of Polk County residents. Whereas during the month of April, Polk County and community partner agencies will engage families in a coordinated effort to prevent child abuse and neglect by providing parents with social support, increasing knowledge of parenting best practices and child development, educating the community on abuse and neglect warning signs and response strategies, and providing resource connection to families within their communities. Now, therefore, the Polk County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month and urge all residents to engage in activities whose purpose is to strengthen families and communities to provide the optimal environment for healthy child development. And it will be signed this date, April 2nd, 2025 by the Board of Commissioners. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Would you honor us with a picture for to?
Absolutely, we would.
At the end or whatever.
Absolutely. Do we have a need for an executive session?
No, sir. No, sir.
Any further business to come before this board?
You have none?
Sir. We are adjourned.